Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way. And before we get started with today's video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched over the past week or so. There's been lots of Watford news in the media, of course, in the past 7 days, and we've been getting great views here on the channel with some very interesting topics to discuss. So yeah, a big thank you from me for your continued support. We probably won't touch too much on the Norwich City game today, just because there's been so much Watford news, especially actually in the last 24 hours to dive into in regards to transfers, both in and out of the club. And the highest profile transfer out has to be, of course, King Ken Sema. The Swedish international has come towards the end of his Watford career. It was clear to me anyway that Tom Cleverley was hesitant to use him this season. I think everyone realised that Ken Sema had lost, a few yards of pace in the last season or so, which was evident there for everyone to see. But there's no doubt in my mind that Ken Sema goes down as, a Watford legend, really a cult hero. However you want to look at him as the last remaining player from that 2018-19, miraculous run to the Emirates FA Cup final. Whenever he played on the pitch, you could see that he gave his all every time. And for me, he's a proper professional, a real nice guy. And of course, he had that big media story when he did the interview with his stammer, of course, which was very commendable of Ken to do. So yeah, Ken Sema leaving Watford, started off as kind of a left midfielder, a left winger, and then later on in his career kind of transitioned to that left back, left wing back position. But even still, for me, Ken Sema, a proper guy, top player, legend at the club, and he'll be sorely missed at Watford. So I wish him all the best in the future for his career over in Cyprus, I should say, at Paphos FC. The next player to discuss who's leaving the club is Festi Ebesele. He joined Watford in the summer on a loan deal from Udinese. He picked up an injury very recently. You guys will know that, of course, if you've been watching Watford in the past few weeks. He's been recalled by Udinese ahead of a permanent transfer over to Turkey, to Istanbul Başakşehir. We had Luca Bendoni on the channel yesterday, who works for Gianluca Di Marzio over in Milan, and Luca confirmed to us exclusively that move is very, very close to happening. A fee of about 4 to 5 million euros for Festi Ebesele, and for me, I feel it's a missed opportunity from Watford. Actually, I liked Festi Ebesele during his time at Derby in Serie A. He played quite well for Udinese while he was there, and Tom Cleverley, just didn't seem to fancy him at times. I think his Watford career started off quite promising, and then through the last month or so of the season, he's not really featured too much, which I found quite interesting. There was rumours about maybe his attitude at the training ground being not quite right. I've not heard anything personally myself on that, but I do really rate Festi Ebesele as a player and the attributes he has, especially his physicality and his pace. Obviously is very useful when you're making them recovery runs in defence. So Festi again is a player who, won't be missed as much as Ken Sema, of course, but yeah, he's still a miss. And of course, I wish Festi Ebesele all the best for his career over in Turkey at Istanbul Başakşehir. Talking about Watford incomings now, and again, this all come from Luca Bendoni, who's been getting some really good stories around Watford in the past few days. Egil Selvik, the Udinese goalkeeper who signed for them on a free transfer this month, is set to join Watford on a permanent deal. In fact, as this video goes out, Watford may have already announced this signing, but Watford signing this Norwegian 27-year-old goalkeeper from Udinese, who looks to be the long-term Daniel Bachmann replacement. It's an interesting one. Daniel Bachmann potentially will be sold in the summer if Selvik turns out to be the real deal, because he's recently broke into the Norwegian national team. Of course, they have great players, the likes of Martin Odegaard and Erling Haaland are the real high-profile ones, but that's quite a good level to play at. And yeah, I know Udinese fans were quite excited when he signed them. For him to be joining Watford straight away does show, obviously, the connection between the two clubs can work in our favour favour on occasion. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Selvik can do. His statistics from crosses and high claims especially, and the command of his area look really good and are much better than Daniel Batman's. So we'll see how that translates to Championship football. If he signs today, as I record this video on Thursday, it'll be interesting to see if he starts on Saturday. Of course, with these things, the deadline for Saturday games is usually the Friday at midday. So any signings Watford do make in the next 24 hours will need to be registered with the EFL before midday on Friday. Another experienced player Watford have been linked with from Southampton is left-back Charlie Taylor. He's had limited game time this season. He's a very experienced professional, and as Watford have moved to the back four system in recent weeks, Charlie Taylor would be a superb option to have in that position and would be far better, in my opinion, than Yassir Larouchi, of course. So yeah, Watford and Hull City look to be competing for that transfer. I saw a report this morning saying that Hull City had dropped out of the race. So yeah, keep an eye out for Charlie Taylor from Southampton. Watford apparently have to be paying a significant contribution of his salary. That's what Southampton are after, and if we want to do that deal, that's what Watford will have to do. So keep an eye on that deal. Charlie Taylor, the left back, I think is 29 potentially years of age, from Southampton. Yeah, one to keep an eye on. So yeah, lots going on around Watford at the moment, and thankfully, obviously after the reports from last week, Tom Cleverley at this stage is still the Watford head coach, which yeah, I am of course delighted about. So that's the latest Watford transfer update. Switching our focus now to Norwich City and the game this weekend. I believe the game is being broadcast live on Sky Sports Plus. So if you can't attend Vicarage Road and you're watching from the UK, it should be available for you to view on TV, which is always nice. And Watford go into this game ahead of Norwich City in 9th position in the Championship, but only just by 2 points. And Norwich City very much on Watford's tails at this time. In terms of team news for Watford, we've not heard from Tom Cleverley prior to this game yet, but Imran Louza, who was injured in the last Championship game, has been photographed in training in the past day or so. So hopefully Imran Louza will have a part to play. And we saw in that brief spell against Derby County where Louza and Tom Bashiri played together, that was really probably the best 45 minutes of a Watford midfield we've seen throughout the entirety of the season, really. So the sooner Louza and Tom Delly can play together, the better, because I think we can all agree that Sissoko and Kayembe do not work in them positions. So hopefully Louza returns to the squad sooner rather than later. Of course, there's been rumours around other signings as well. No, Luca, when we spoke to him yesterday, said a goalkeeper, a left back, a midfielder and a winger were Watford's priority positions to target in this transfer window, which I do find intriguing, because in terms of our striker situation, we've only really got Bayo and an 18-year-old Mamadou Doumbia, and if Bayo gets injured, we're looking pretty stuck in kind of that striker position, putting all that pressure on kind of an 18-year-old who's new to the culture, to the country, and new to the league. So yeah, Luca did say yesterday that if the opportunity arises, we will go for a striker. But at this stage, we're looking primarily for a winger and not a striker, which is certainly interesting. So yeah, if you haven't watched that video, do go and check that out. It was published yesterday on the channel. In terms of Norwich, Borja signs. Thankfully for Watford, Getting is still suspended. The Championship top goal scorer on 15 goals currently. He's a superb player, and I can't lie, I'm delighted he's not available for this fixture. Of course, Norwich this season, a bit like Watford, former Premier League team, has struggled to get back up to the big time in recent seasons. They have a new manager themselves this year, who plays quite exciting football. I mean, the reverse fixture earlier this season, I think Callum Doyle scored that really good goal from distance, and they tore Watford to shreds, in my opinion. We really struggled to deal with Norwich that day. Borja signs as well was fantastic too. So as I said, I'm glad he's not playing. But for me, this is a game where hopefully as fans after that Cleverly news last week, we can kind of reunite, really support the team, really support Cleverly, and hopefully get a result over the line at Vicarage Road. It's going to be really tough, and of course we've mentioned in countless videos in the last few weeks that Watford have an extremely difficult run of fixtures coming up. It started with Coventry, we've got Norwich, I think next weekend we go away to Sunderland, we've then got Leeds, Middlesbrough, and then we end that run with Luton at home towards the end of February. So yeah, this is a game for me where it's certainly one of the more winnable fixtures. I don't like saying that because every game is tough in this league, but it certainly is a team who we've beaten in previous seasons. We're probably on kind of a level playing field in terms of talent. So yeah, it's going to be tough, it's going to be close, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 Watford win at Vicarage Road. Rocco Vata at the double for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back post Norwich with our reaction video. Bye bye.